In this scene, we don't need many assets, just a few to keep everything running smoothly on your device. This scene is very simple, with a small environment and, of course, quick rendering times. For the first step, we need to prepare the set or assets to create the scene, which is environment. First, we need the ground. To create the ground, I use the default cube and then slightly customize its shape. For example, I added a cube and scaled it like this. Then delete the top face. After that, I added a displace modifier to make the shape a bit more natural or random. In this case, I first added loop cuts and subdivided several times so the displace modifier could work to its full potential. I also added multi-res modifier and subdivided several times. After that, we configure the displace modifier a bit by adding a cloud texture and adjust the scale and strength as needed until everything looks like it matches what you want. In my case, I set up like this and you can copy my settings. After the cube has been arranged like that, we also need to give it a texture. We gave it some texture, some beautiful textures. And we have some texture here. And when we go to the shading section, you can see that I'm using a simple texture for the ground. You can use the ground texture and you can get it from many websites that provides free textures with good quality. After adding the ground texture, it will definitely add a nice view to our scene. In the next part, we prepare the assets needed to be added to our scene and make it look more interesting. And then we create the water part. Now, I've already prepared some assets here, and all the assets I use are from the plant library, which is free from Blender Market. And also some are paid, which is Botanic add-on. And here is the grass assets. And this grass asset I scatter onto the ground object using G-Scatter add-on. And after scattering, this is the result. In this case, I customized the material a bit for the grass to make it look like a fallen grass and look brownish. After the grass assets, we also have another asset like dead leaves and branches, which I also took from the plant library and botanic. And as you can see an example here, we have branches, which I also scattered using G-Scatter like I did it with the grass. I scattered all the layers here separately like this, you can see. This is without and this is with the scatters. This means that we have a lot of variation in this scene now. And next, I also added a few more assets, and this time I place them manually based on where I want the assets to be seen. Like this medium grass and a small one. And after everything is placed in the scene, I also gave an animation to the movement of the grass. Here, I set the keyframe just on the rotations. And if we look at the graphs editor, you can see that I'm using noise modifier on the rotation. And we can immediately see a little bit of animation on the grass here. And it looks like it's being blown by the wind and make the scene more natural and realistic. After everything has been set up like that, Now is the time for us to add the water to our scene. And for the water, there is nothing complicated. We only use a plain object, or we can say that a simple plane. And here I also give a simple material for the water. And there is nothing complicated here. In the shading material of the water, you can see that I'm only using the principal BSDF with the roughness set to 0, the transmission set to 1. And for the bump, I'm using a noise texture to give a bump effect to the water. Here, I set the noise texture with values that match the scene. You can use values according to what you want or match your scene. I'm only using noise that connects to the height on the bump and then connect to the normal on the principal BSDF. And the result will be looks like this. In the noise texture section, I also set it to 4D so that the weight value can be animated to make the water look like it's moving or have a water simulation effect like waves, as you can see. As in the section, I will show you in the shader editor, and in the timeline you can see if in the first frame, the weight values on the bump is 0. And if we go to the end of the frame, the value I set to 0.8. Then, if we play back, the result will be like this. We can see that there is animation in the water part, like water surface, like a small wave water simulation. You can change the weight value a little bit so that the animation matches your scene. And if you feel it's right, then immediately set the keyframes. Make sure that the animation is not too fast and not too slow. Otherwise, everything will look fake or not match. So what we need for the material is only this process and not too much. And the results are also good. After everything has been set, then the next step we have to do is to create or add our fish to the scene. And here, the fish model that I used, I got from the Sketchfab website. You can explore it. You can get it from the website, or if you have installed the Sketchfab add-on, then you can also search for it here. After getting the fish you want, then add it to your scene. And I also customize the fish texture, only the colors part, to make it a little bit of desaturated. And there is no need to be too detailed because the fish will also be in the water. So it doesn't really matter. Now, for the movement, you can see here that I'm using a displace modifier with a cloud texture to create the movement of the fish like this one. In the modifier, there is a displace texture that I use for the animation of the fish movement. After creating the animation of the fish movement, the next important step is how to create an effect on the water when the fish moves like this. The first thing to do to get an effect like this is give the fish additional movement animation to make the fish spin or move to another places as you see. What you have to focus on in this part, during the fish movement, You have to make sure that when the fish moves, its tail must come out of the water part like this, so that later it can give an effect when we use a dynamic paint. So the animation must be like this to get the maximum and good result. Now is the time to add dynamic paint. To create dynamic paint, first select the fish, then go to the physics sections. We click dynamic paint and in the paint type choose brush. Let the other numbers be default. And the second is to set dynamic paint to the plane. Select our paint, select the paint, but in this time choose canvas for the paint type. And for the surface type, set to weight. And if everything is correct, then when playback the animation, the effect will be look like this. Can you see this effect? You can adjust it according to your needs. And in the render section, we can see, I will try in real-time render so we can see how the wave results look when we render. You can see there is a very good effect. And if everything looks good, then the last thing is to set the camera and the camera animation. In the camera section, I gave a simple animation and not too much or too complicated, just a simple movement like this. And if everything is right, then the final step is to render the animation, and the result will be like this. I hope you guys like this video, and I still have some videos that I will upload in the coming days. And of course, also include detailed breakdown of what I used. If you like it and want to see other results, then like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next video.